Hey guys, Darryl Russell here. I'm here in Chiang Mai, Thailand for the Chiang Mai SEO conference, and I decided to kidnap some of the speakers and some of the attendees, drag them back to my apartment here and interview them just for you guys to get some exclusive content. So let's get straight into it. Enjoy. Hey guys, Darryl Russell here. Welcome back to another episode of the SEO Show. In this episode, we're talking about how to go out there and scale up your agency. You built up an 11-person team now.
Yep.
And we're going to talk about how you build that up and what you're doing today in terms of the systems, how you're managing all that, and really the benefits of having an agency and everything. It's all sorts of stuff, sales as well.
Yep.
So let's get into it. Hope you guys enjoy. Hey man, thank you for joining me today. It's awesome to have you on the show.
Thanks, Darryl.
So for anyone that doesn't know who you are, do you want to introduce yourself and what it is you do?
Yeah, sure. I'm Ben from Maden Solutions.
Okay.
We're an SEO and some more agency in Brisbane. We do a bit of WordPress stuff, quite a bit of AdWords management.
Okay.
And those are kind of interesting add-ons that really bring the SEO clients in. So that's the main thing, sort of a rounded business. But yeah, it's all about the clients. So yeah.
Do you call yourself an SEO agency to your clients or?
Digital marketing agency.
Digital marketing, okay.
Yeah. So we try and make sure that the clients are thinking a little bit more about the whole package rather than just SEO.
So are you getting clients where they come to you and you sell them like everything at once, or is it like they come to you and you sell them some WordPress stuff and you upsell SEO after?
Yeah, well, the ideal is obviously that they come to us and say, fix all our problems, and then we put them through a strategy session and then work out all the different bits they need. And I've got a few ways of trying to sell that, but quite often, yeah, you're right, they just come in and say, I need this. And they just buy maybe a bit of AdWords management, or they buy a bit of SEO, and then we upsell them and encourage them to think about things a bit bigger. Yeah.
How old's the agency then?
Oh man. Well, it started as a web design agency in April 2000, so pretty old.
Wow, yeah.
So I've got some grey hairs, right? So yeah.
I was 7.
Yeah, so yeah, I was 24, so.
That's my age now, okay.
Yeah, so I basically started up around about the .com boom, things were getting quite interesting, built a few nice websites.
A good time to start web design, I guess?
Yeah, it was. It was very good until about September 2001, and a lot of my clients in the tourism space completely shut down. That was pretty
understandably,
painful kind of experience, but obviously bigger things going on back then. We did a bit of SEO here and there a few years after that, and really, I moved from London to Australia in 2006, and the business only really started taking off in its current form about 2010. So we've been kind of an agency doing digital marketing in Brisbane for 7 years.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
How did you shift from web design? Are you a web designer?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, coding.
Got it. I can tell. So how did you shift from web designer to doing SEO?
Well, I was always really terrible at design. Still am.
Okay.
Right. I have an eye for what is good or bad design, but yeah, I'm not a designer, and I've always had to hire people to do that side of things. So I've always been like the guy who can make things work, either sort of technically or realize on a marketing angle, like what have we got to make happen here to do things. So technical SEO kind of something I kind of fell into, really, just fixing all the little shitty things that go wrong with a website and get them right. So when people started talking about SEO in terms of link building, well, I have to go and learn something new now, but with the idea of getting the result for the client, that was pretty easy and quite interesting, really. So yeah, it's
awesome.
2004, 2005 started looking at that. So.
That's what I was going to ask next. So when did you start taking SEO seriously and start really pushing it to the clients?
Really seriously, probably more like about 2010.
Okay.
Like we did a bit 2008, 2009, but no, it really got kind of interesting and started looking at clients face to face and working out what they needed and just going hell for leather in about 2010. So, kind of on the wrong side of penguin, but
That's what I was just about to ask next.
Okay.
SEO has changed a lot, right? From 2017, 2010. Like, did that ever impact what happened with your clients?
Yeah, really big. So we had a couple of sites that were just gold in terms of exact match domains. We had some awesome kind of lead gen based on a whole bunch of interesting link building. And and then a certain thing happened, April 25th, 2012. Red letter date in the world of SEO. And things changed. Yeah, big. But obviously what we're doing now is very different to all of that. So we've moved to a lot of outreach, a lot of other kind of guest posting kind of stuff, and still very heavy on the technical side.
Here's a question then. So some guys are very big. So we interviewed Gareth Simpson, one of the speakers at the conference yesterday, and he's very big on specialization, right? He only does outreach, nothing else.
Yep.
Does it have any impact on you guys? Do you think it's a good thing or a bad thing that add in all these extra stuff you do, like WordPress and random technical stuff? Is it more difficult to manage all that stuff versus just like specializing just the SEO company?
Yeah, absolutely makes life a bit more stressful as an agency owner, I guess. But you just need to have people you can trust. Yeah. And that's it. Like there's definitely been times where we've tried to move into a specialization, and then you just haven't got the strength in the person on the team. Gotcha. And then you just feel it kind of crumble around you, and you just think, oh, damn it, we can't really specialize in this. We can't really deliver this to a high enough standard. And in that case, we have to do something a bit different. I could definitely think back to times when our WordPress dev team just weren't really at the high enough standard.
Sure.
And you just end up with a situation where you've got too much work, too much stuff going on in that side of things. Yeah, and you just have to either pull it back or tell the clients it's going to take longer. Focus on something else. I mean, obviously, clients are giving us a retainer, like a nice budget, and then we have to work out how we're going to allocate and spend that across, across the campaign. And ideally, we'd want to follow a plan and get them results according to some kind of pre-described schedule. But if our specialization is weak or the person on the team isn't there, well, we have to adapt.
How big is your team now?
Well, full-timers, it's 11.
Okay.
So, we've been up as high as 15, 16, but we're doing more business and smaller in-house, and we've got more sort of VAs, freelancers, that kind of thing. So that's nice. We've got a really good mix at the moment, I think. Probably better than it's been for about 3 or 4 years.
Oh, that's cool. What's the advantages of having like contractors, VAs, freelancers versus full-time and vice versa?
Well, the nicest thing is obviously with the staff, the trusted staff in-house, like I don't really have to talk to a lot of the clients. I've got an account manager who kind of takes care of all of that. Then I've got some specialists, some analysts on the team. They can really talk to the clients about specific stuff we're doing, whether it's technical, whether it's link building, whether it's outreach. They can just get in and do what they need to do direct with the client. I don't have to get involved. Like I'd be a bit nervous about doing that with somebody from Vietnam or Philippines or whatever.
Sure. Yeah, I think that's a big thing that a lot of people are scared of if they get into the agency world, is that they're going to have to be on the phone all day long speaking to their clients, managing them. Yeah. You don't, maybe sometimes, or like not at all?
Well, I guess there's a mixture, right? So some of the larger clients, they definitely need me to step in and help out. Sometimes the client has quite a technical need, right? Sure. And so with the development background, I can come in and almost like consult as a developer to the account manager. And so I'll be in the meeting, but the problem is for me, I kind of, I've got this prior relationship because I do a lot of the onboarding of clients, get them in, sign them up and hand them to the account manager. So the client remembers that and they'll try and draw me into the account management. So I've got this tension where I have to kind of manage the account manager and make sure that they keep that portion of it on their plate. But that's all right, that's a coaching role for me as a team leader.
Do you do sales or just the onboarding?
Sales mostly. Try not to do too much of the onboarding, but I do end up having to kind of make sure that what I've promised in the sale is actually getting delivered. So yeah.
Yeah, it's important.
Yeah, I guess when sales have ever struggled, it's only because the onboarding hasn't been done quite right. And then downstream, I'm sort of, second guessing myself whether we're really going to be able to deliver. And I mean, we've had some fun over the years, but we're on a really good path right now.
That's cool. What is the difference between now then, when like things seem to be going very well, versus like you've been doing this for years, and at some points I presume it wasn't going so well. What's the difference in how it's operating, what you're spending your time on?
Oh yeah. Well, I guess probably the main thing is like these days, I work quite a bit less than I have done in the past, and the quality of work I'm doing, I know is a hell of a lot better than it was. You know, there were times when I was doing 70, 80 hour weeks, and not really able to really deliver the highest quality work.
Sure.
But you kind of get into a vicious cycle where you just think, you know, if I don't do it, then nobody else is going to do it.
Yeah.
And it's hard. And I was lucky. I actually found a sort of a coach, like just a good old-fashioned business coach, really, to kind of sit me down and say, you know, stop it, or you're going to really fuck up. Yeah.
No, I think it's a big thing. We get in this cycle of thinking we're the owner, we have to do everything, we have to work our asses off. And I've noticed the same thing over the last year or so, is that I can massively cut back what I do, have the right people do it, and it gets done better than if I did it all myself.
Yeah. That gets to be true very quickly. Yeah. And you actually, you might forego a little bit of money. Well, maybe quite a lot initially when you first do it. It might look like that, but long term, it's a hell of a lot better. It really is. Absolutely.
Is there any big mistakes, like say 2 or 3 big mistakes that kind of come to mind that you've made over the past 4 years that have kind of slowed you down, held you back, or anything like that?
Yeah, working with my now ex-wife.
Okay.
I wouldn't do that again. Yeah, it's pretty brutal. Yeah, there was some real ups and downs. I mean, basically the last couple of years, for various reasons, the agency's kind of gone kind of sideways because I've had my eye very much off the ball. You know, I've been looking after the business, making sure everybody's happy and looked after and whatever. But kind of part of me removing myself, like being this crazy 70-hour-a-week nut job, was definitely because I had other things to kind of look after and fight for. And so sort of coming back now I've got all that kind of behind me and looking at the business and saying, right, what can I do with my time? Well, instead of throwing myself into 70 hours a week of, you know, interfering with all the clients, I've got a cracking business, cracking team kind of doing what needs to be done. And now as a coder, I can kind of systemize. Okay. And I can sell, and I can leverage what they're already doing, which is, that's basically what we've been doing over the last few months. So it's sort of 6 months before I got that sorted. But 6 months since I got that sorted. So, yeah. Systemizing,
that's an interesting topic, because a lot of guys I've been speaking to here are at a point where they're in the process of systemizing, or their mindset is, holy shit, I need to systemize because this is not going to work out doing it for myself.
Yeah.
How do you create systems, and what sort of setup do you have for managing your clients and doing that stuff?
Well, we have quite a full-on project management system. We use Jira, which is like the daddy, really, of this, you know, project management, whatever. We've used Trello in the past. We still use Trello for all the copywriters that we've got on the team. Okay. But the actual time tracking, all the team, all the stuff, all the activities, we run them as month-long sprints in Jira. Okay. So you basically start the clock and you set, okay, this client's going to get 15 hours this month, and we're going to spend this much offshore, and you know, all this shit's going to happen, and we can just track everything through this one system. So systems-wise, we've had that in place for a couple of years now, but now we're really, really cooking on gas with it. Awesome. And then when we come across an API, which is pretty cool, and we want to pull data in and out, it used to be that I'd go and code some, you know, some horrid shit, really, and it would take like a couple of weeks to turn around, because I'm still, even now, busy doing sales. Yeah. But these days, I found this awesome script for importing JSON data straight into Google Sheets. Okay, cool. Not that maybe you want to use Google Sheets for everything, but you know, yeah, basically a lot of the mock-up of like workflows that we've got, you can do that in Google Sheets, and you pull in all this cool data, filter, sort, even write little scripts and stuff, just like macros in Excel, but in Google Sheets. And you can push that data out to other Google Sheets. Then you end up with, you know, excellent kind of lists for VAs to go through, or the team to go and look at. And then I guess my next project is go and pull some of that data and push it into Pitchbox, something like that. That's really cool. Yeah. Do you have any like step-by-step like trainings for like the team or like VAs or anything where it's just like, here's like how to do step-by-step, how to go out there and do the outreach, here's how to do whatever else? Yeah, we have like the content marketing process, everybody's out. A lot of our agency competition, right? They're always yapping on about content marketing.
Yep.
But they're just doing it for noise. Sometimes they talk about like a blogger that they're going to deal with who's got like a big subscriber base or whatever, and you check it out and it's, 50% of it's fake, right?
Yeah.
And our clients are spending decent money on pitching content to these people, like, $1,000 a blog post to, why? Give us the $1,000, we'll get you a handful of links, let's get on with it. So from a content marketing point of view, we have like a 6-step process. It's basically like, idea generation, idea ratification, just checking that it's going to make some sense. And then even maybe doing some initial pitches to some of the people that we know, or maybe some people that we'd like to work with.
Sure.
Firstly, you've got to have some credibility on the client blog before you go and do that. But then trying to take that and use it to check whether the idea's got any legs, right? Is it going to work? And then once you've done that, obviously go and create some content and make it bloody good, right? That's the hard thing, is to get the designer involved, get the writer to make it look good, and as a team they've got to make it look bloody awesome, and then go and get it posted, right? Get it back there. But really, that whole kind of process of idea checking, outreach, like that first prospect outreach, and then you've got this content creation, like just the writing. But then I split that up into just like from writing to content optimization. So
Okay.
it has to go to somebody else to make it look good, and then between the two of them, they're responsible for this piece of content that's going out. There's that responsibility, right? And you end up with, okay, now do we get the link? Do we get something else out of it?
That's awesome. And does this, sorry.
Yeah, no, we also use the same kind of process for creating content for the client, so that when we put something on their website, we want it to be linkable, link-worthy.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what we're after.
Did these processes ever change?
Yeah, yeah. Well, there's kind of like the ideal that it would meet these things, but yeah, sometimes you kind of find where we're SEOs, right? So we're and even a copywriter who's working at an SEO agency, they learn how to game systems. I remember years ago, I had a really good chat with an SEO guy, and we were talking about how we like to go through traffic faster than everybody else. In Australia, you should always go into the slow lane because it's always the fastest one, because everybody wants to, you get the idea. Everybody wants to game systems. So we've got a system of 6 steps to creating awesome content. Well, as a copywriter, you're probably going to find a way to game the system and get through and get your content out. So you just have to have a good management process in place to make sure that what we're measuring is links and shares, and that their mind is actually on that, not getting the thing out the door. And like in terms of our processes, it's evolved to the point where we're thinking about those metrics. Yeah, and I mean, for want of a better, like we are actually thinking about DA on the quality of those links, but it's a bullshit metric, so it is what it is. Yeah.
The reason I ask is because I was speaking to someone recently, and they're at a stage where they desperately need to hire like their first person for their agency, but they're kind of scared about doing it. And they're thinking right now is that I'm going to create all these systems and all these processes first, then hire someone to follow it. And my personal belief, I don't know what you believe, is that that's the wrong way of doing it. They should just hire someone, train them up, and have them create the systems and the processes.
Do that. Yep. Do that. Okay. What you want to do is find somebody who's really well organised. I mean, it depends what that person's like, but if it sounds like that they would be kind of reluctant to getting really organised.
Yeah.
So a good mirror, a good reflection of them would be somebody who is really organised. Yeah, do that. If I think about the guy that I hired March 2010, that basically took us from, an SEO plan here or there and mostly websites to being an SEO agency, it was basically the guy was like a link building demon. Okay. And he was absolutely obsessed. Like he was obsessed by a book called Getting Things Done. Yeah, GTD.
GTD, yeah, cool book.
Yeah, so he basically just started doing everything on paper, and I was like, what the hell are you doing? and he taught me a lot. Like I learned a lot from that guy.
Is that your first hire?
Well, no, I've had a lot of web developers and things, but that was my first dedicated SEO hire. Yeah.
Okay. Any advice for the guys that are trying to hire like an SEO demon? How do they go out there and get one of those?
Well, I guess if it's your first hire for the whole business, they've got to have some good SEO skills, right? So you want to you want to sit there with that guy. I remember sitting in a coffee shop and him showing me charts from Google Analytics, and he's like, yeah, look, this is where I started the SEO, and whoosh. Look, this is where I started the SEO, whoosh. You know, that's what you want to see. And you want to see somebody who's bloody excited by that, and getting the opportunity to sit in front of you and do that. And as far as like, you know, the other stuff, yeah, you want somebody with some passion, some organisation skills. You should definitely ask about that stuff. But like, I really believe in giving people a go, you know, like the Aussie fair go. Give them a go and let you show me. Just show me what you can do. And
that's awesome.
you know, like, I don't expect people to work 70 hours a week. I'm quite happy to pay pretty well. It's just a case of like, you know, do what you say you're going to do. That's it. That's all I expect of people. And like, you know, basically what you want to do is find people who can say and do. Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah.
Kiss a few frogs. So you got to make sure you don't put all your eggs in one basket, because if they don't quite make it, you don't want them to take you out, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you think is kind of been like fundamental to getting to the stage you're at today?
Sales.
Big fan.
Sales. Yeah, look, I had a sales coach. I've had two actually over the years.
Okay.
So the first guy took me from being like, there's a good book called Sales Dogs. It's from the Rich Dad Poor Dad series.
Gotcha.
And it's like a reflection of other books from many, many years ago. But it's basically like, if you talk to your client the way that they want to be talked to, like, it works really well. Like, if they bring in their real technical person, like the analogy in the book is that that's a chihuahua, right? And then if you bring your chihuahua in, they're gonna just yap at each other for ages.
Sure.
And really, what you want to be doing is heading for a sale, right? And the classic kind of analogy of a salesperson is the pit bull, right? To go and get them by the throat and get all the money out of them. Well, that's the last thing you want as well. But I found by reading that book, I was a Labrador, right? I would just, like, the client would throw a stick and I would go and do some stuff, come back, and they'd throw me another stick. And the horrible thing about that is I would never get paid, right? I'd be doing that even pre-contract, right?
Yeah, sure.
And there are going to be loads of people who do that and they don't even know they're bloody doing it, right? What you need to do is realise that when the stick goes, you just stand there and look at it. All right, you want me to go and get that? All right, what's in it for me? Come on then, and let's have a proper conversation about it. And you need to be you need to be a mongrel, right? You need to be halfway, you need to be able to talk a bit technical, you need to be able to run off and please them, but you need to be able to get a sale. Yeah, so I had one guy help me realise that I was the Labrador, and I had another guy come along and refine what I was doing, so that instead of my conversion rate being about 50%, up to more like 60, 70. And a big part of that is qualification, so we just don't deal with people who don't have any money.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
What's your sales process then? Can you walk us through, like, what happens from, say, the lead comes in, and what happens to them becoming a client? Yeah,
at the moment it's changing because we've got a BDM guy, but let's say 3-4 months ago when it was still just me, so the lead comes in, initial call very quickly. I usually try and call them same day, just to kind of qualify them, make sure that they've got some money or that they've got some big plans. And I will ballpark like what kind of cost they're looking at. Something like, you know, what you're talking about there is 15 grand over 6 months, or you're gonna have to spend 5 grand up front because, you know, I look at your website, looks like it's got some major problems. And I give them some idea of the cost. And if you hear you can kind of get a sense of it, but if you're really listening for it, you can hear them, like, you know, sharp intake of breath, you know, freak out at the cost. And then you know it's probably not going to be a good client, right? And you can have a really nice conversation with somebody who can't afford you.
Yeah.
And you can still be really nice to them, and you can say, well, you know, look, like, there are probably SEOs around that's going to take 2 grand off of you and say they're going to deliver a result, but, you know, like, for me, my team, for everything that we can do for you, I couldn't do a good job for you for 2 grand. I want 10, and then we can do a bloody good job, and you'll be really happy with the result. And if you can't afford 10, then you probably should save you 2, and that's okay, you know.
Yeah.
Just be careful where you put your 2. That's all, you know. And they're kind of brutal conversations, but it's kind of our style, really.
And that's like a short, like, 10-minute conversation?
Yeah, just 5-10 minutes, just a quick conversation, work out. And if they've if they've got some kind of idea about what they want and what money they can afford to pay, then I'll have a first meeting. I'll try and do that within a couple of days.
And that's in person?
Yep. Maybe we'll do, Australia's quite big, so we get leads and stuff from Sydney, Melbourne, like 1,000 kilometres away. So we'll do like I kind of like using Hangouts actually, because you can do a screen share and it's like, totally painless really.
And you can see each other?
Yeah, so you can sort of see each other, right? Necessarily want my ugly mug on the screen, but you can go and have a nice chat with them, show them some spreadsheets. I'll usually make a Google Doc for them, put a bit of review in, and I'll make notes as we're talking about what they're after, and I'll put 2 columns in it, what they're after versus what my thoughts are and what they're asking for. And then afterwards, I'll go away and do a bit of review and maybe get them on the phone again quick, have a look at that Google Doc, I've updated it, it's got your prices in. What do you reckon? And if they're up for it, then we'll do an order form, and boom, sale. And we'll try and get that done very quickly.
So it's not like a big fancy proposal or anything like that?
Sometimes it is. Sometimes. Like if they go at that point and they're like, oh yeah, send me a proposal, I've got to send it to my boss. We'll know whether they're the decision maker or not. I usually like dealing with proper entrepreneurs, right? So direct, just get it done really. But sometimes clients have, obviously they've got a board or they've got a partner or something they've got to propose it to. We'll go and make a proposal and send it off. But usually, what you can do is you can just take that Google Doc and just add a cover page and a blurb, and then the order form, and it's done, right?
So what's the process? They say like this is cool, like we want to go ahead. You give them like an order form, you have to sign like an agreement or something? Yeah,
2-page document. I did a bit of work for a web design company, and they were a bloody nightmare really. They cheated me out of a load of commission, it's horrible. But I worked out from them pretty much always when I'm giving out a proposal, put a little order form on it. Because even if they're not ready to sign, they can see what the contract looks like, they can check out what the terms are like, and they can see how they would need.
They can't sign it if they can't see it.
Yeah, exactly. You'd be surprised. Sometimes they're just like, sign it, boom, yep. Fred says, get on with it. Here you go. And it just appears in your inbox. All right. It's another 20 grand a year. Thanks very much.
And after the order form, I presume there's no payment in that, or is there? Do they sign it and you send the payment? Yeah,
so what we do is we charge the setup fee, and then we'll charge the first month.
Okay.
We only, because we do these monthly sprints, we'll start the month in the following calendar month. So if you're talking like the 10th of the month, we'll charge a setup fee on the 10th, like the day we get the order form, and then they'll get the first month will go out like the 20th, so we get it in the bank in time to start on the 1st of the following month.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And so you're pre-billing them for the next month. If it's super important, some people don't do it.
Always. Yeah. There's, most businesses are pretty trustworthy. A lot of clients I'm talking to face to face, I know, you can trust them and whatever. But I've only ever had problems with clients who, in terms of payment, I've only ever had problems with clients who balk at that. They're like, oh, I don't really want to pay in advance. And then you end up doing the work, and then they're like a month behind, 2 months behind.
Yeah. And
then you're like, well, come on. You're supposed to be paying in advance. I've got to pay my staff as the work is done. And indeed, some of the work, as you know, like a good deal of it, you're paying for in advance for them.
Yeah.
Pay your bill, because we can just get some other client, right? Spend the time on somebody else.
I've heard someone say before that the difference between how we do it is we're selling like a service versus like consulting almost. So like consulting, usually you do hours and then you bill them at the end of the hours for how much it is. But we're selling like a specific service.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, clients say to us, how many hours does this get me? And we're like, well, if we do a good job, it's none of your business. And if we do a really bad job, it's kind of none of your business.
Yeah.
Right? You're paying us for an outcome. Yeah. I got to pay Australian wages, which, if you believe the research, is some of the highest in the world, right?
Yeah.
For SEOs. But that's all right, because as long as the clients are paying me enough money, then I can pay them. And as long as I've got them to a skill level where they can do what they need to do in 5 hours, then it makes sense.
Yeah,
so if a client wants to, get funny about it, I'll just point them at the research and say, well, look, SEOs are most expensive here. If you really want to just pay the cheapest, go and hire them in some other country. you know. But you're not going to get me, and you're not going to get advice, and you're not going to get somebody steering you through minefields, basically.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You know.
How do you price your services then? You said you give them that number on the first call. How do you come up with that price?
Experience. Some of that experience is you know, some scars along the way. So you're like, you know, you do a deal for somebody and you think, oh yeah, we could do that for about, you know, $2,000 a month, and you get down the road and they're just not ranking. And you're like, oh shit, we really got to dig deep, and you end up basically not making any money on it, or you make a loss. So after experience, you work out, you know, to be brutally honest, you're looking at roughly how many root domains, like how much link building we've got to get moving on this. But even that, you know, things have moved, and that's why we still have a WordPress team, right? So if a client's got a decent website built by us, or maybe one of the agencies that we work with, like web dev ones that are really trustworthy and really good, and we know their website's going to be fast and user experience is going to be good, we can be a bit better on price if we know the website's good.
Yeah. If
we know the website's a bit of a pig's ear, we might have to add some extra cost either up front or ongoing. Yeah. So it's hard, but it comes down to, I guess, the number of links and the amount of effort we've got to put in, and then, you know, most people will wear like a delay of like 3 to 6 months to see a good outcome.
Yep.
I mean, obviously, if you went like hell for leather, you could get them ranking faster, but you'd cause other problems.
How do you handle that then? Because some clients freak out when you're like it's going to take me 3 to 6 months to start showing you some real results.
So pretty much all my competition in Brisbane does no contracts.
Okay.
So they can just drop any time. I hold all my clients to 6 months. So
interesting.
So I say to the client, well, you know, you're going to have to pay for 6 months, and then they say, it's just a standard part of the sales process. They'll say something like, well, you know, so-and-so agency, you know, they'll let me come and go. And I say, well, that's all right. Go with them then, you know. And they're like, obviously, why? Why is that good? Why is that bad? And I said, well, because even with me, right, doing the best I can bloody well do, you're going to have like a sinkhole at 4 months. You're going to have spent 3 months of money, and you're not going to have seen really like a good return yet.
Yeah.
And at that point, you're going to want to leave, and I'm not going to let you, because it's shit for me and it's really shit for you, right? Because you're going to start again with somebody else. They're not going to know what we've been working on, and then they might cause some real problems if they take over your SEO and whatever. So you're better off sticking with us for 6 months. Give us a good shot at it. If we don't hit the mark at 6 months, well, fine, give us a flick. But that hasn't happened yet. So, you know, do you want to talk to another client? And then usually at that point, I'm trying to talk to them about speaking to another referral, you know, a client who can vouch for us, really. And
I like that. I had someone call it like takeaway selling as a proper term or anything like that. You're not like pushing yourself on them. You're just like stepping back a little bit and make them come to you.
It's not quite the takeaway close. The takeaway close would be like, just sign it or just forget it, right?
Yeah.
But it is a bit brutal. Like I said, it's sort of our style, really.
Oh, I like that. I think it's good. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Okay, how are you managing? You got 11 people. Is that including you?
Yep.
How are you managing that team or yourself? I'm assuming you're not talking to every single person every day.
No. There's a leader of the SEO team.
Okay.
The AdWords team, there's a very senior guy there as well. And then we have a guy who looks after the web team. Web team is basically me doing some of the back end stuff, and a front end designer developer, and you know, some offshore stuff. But really between, you know, the different facets of the business, there's a like a day-to-day manager that isn't me.
Okay.
And then if I need to get involved, or if I need to kind of move things forward, then, you know, I'll sit in and be part of the reviews or be part of the coaching. But, you know, that's more like for projects, right? So the real long-term stuff that we're doing, I'll get involved and work with team members about that.
Okay. 2 questions then on this. What do you enjoy working on the agency? And then the opposite, like, what do you like? What don't you like? What do you hate about it?
I kind of love it all, really. I really like working with clients. and I like the fact that we can get bloody good results.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a bit annoying when, you know, the clients they're not ready to trust you, and you're kind of trying to work out a way that you can show them that they can trust you. That's where like client referrals are good. But also, I'll have to just stick my headphones on and code, right? So, you know.
That's cool.
Yeah, and I quite like writing, but I haven't really written stuff for quite a while. But, you know, yeah, like I like messing about with WordPress in particular, like the weird kind of rewrites and all that weird stuff, trying to get the content kind of mapped. So we end up with these sort of we call them like cross pages, where you've got services and locations, and you end up with this myriad of pages between them.
Sure.
And some of the ways of handling that in WordPress is a bit of a pain in the arse. So yeah, but that's working pretty well. So we're getting some quite good results with that. So yeah, but in a few places you have to do some custom. You can tell I like coding. Getting carried away.
That's cool. What is your drive then to run an agency versus just like develop stuff all day and just be like a full-time developer?
Well, I love being with clients as well. So I like actually like those initial meetings when you're making commitments about what you can and can't do, and then they're telling you, you know, almost kind of like the bullshit they've heard down the road.
Yeah. And
they're like, oh, they said they could do this. I'm like, well, okay, what's the budget? And they're like, oh, this. And I said, well, you know, if anybody can do it for that budget, you should do that, because that's bloody awesome, right? But,
yeah.
You know, I've tried that and I can't do it for that, you know? And I like that. I like those real honest conversations about like, this is what we can and this is what we can't do. And I really love like digging through somebody's profile, their history, their plans. You know, there's a whole bit in my sales training thing I did with this guy, and it's all about like, you know, gesturing like the past, the present and the future, and, you know, and really trying to get clients to think about their future and what they're going to achieve.
Absolutely, yeah.
And how you can take a look at their analytics, their AdWords, their webmaster tools, all of that data, and you can pull it together into some kind of real cohesive plan. And you see them just go, you know, shit, I wish we had done this before, you know? And you see them itching for it. You see them itching to get ahead. Yeah. So I love that too. And I kind of feel that, you know, it's taking data and it's taking logic, basically, and it's building like a plan for the future.
Yeah.
I see that very much like programming. Because
Okay.
in terms of programming, right, all I'm doing is just taking inputs and outputs. And I'm trying to take all the things that I need and shove the thing on the screen I have to, you know? And yeah, I see it the same way. Yeah.
So programming helps with like how you run your agency, kind of?
Sort of, yeah. Probably more in the systemization.
Yeah.
And also in the idea of the way we run strategy work is that you just gather all the stuff you need and then put it through a massive filter to generate a report for them and make recommendations.
Okay, cool. So what is the difference between how you run your agency and your agency versus like a lot of the other agencies that are competing with you in, or anywhere, just other agencies?
I guess, good question. I guess like from a marketing point of view, some of the competition, they do different things. They do stuff that kind of is a bit annoying, and I can kind of outmaneuver them in terms of like a face-to-face with the client. We have an AdWords competitor who doesn't really do a lot of AdWords work, right? So when they win the business, they do a lot of good work. It is good, and then they just let it cruise and they just keep collecting the money. And I just like the fact that we can outmaneuver them. Basically, you know, you just ask the client to go and look at their audit history, and boom, you got them, right? You just win the client. Yeah, what am I doing different? I guess like when I go to conference, when I go and learn things, I want to implement as soon as I can, right? I want to find out what it is that we're missing, which piece of the puzzle is missing, and I want to put somebody on it, or I want to get into it myself. And, you know, like off the back of this, I kind of got this, you know, the Diggity Chiang Mai SEO.
Yeah.
It's the Gareth Simpson, right? Talking about, right, using Pitchbox and outreach at scale.
That was awesome.
We need to do that, right? And I actually had like a small class training session with Russ Jones, and he kept on talking about Russ Jones. at MozCon a few months ago, and very high on my list, so it wasn't quite top of the list, was get on it, right? Get on link building at scale and through outreach. And I haven't got to that yet. And watching Gareth's talk, it was great, but it was also very uncomfortable for me because it's like, that was the thing I really wanted to get on. And so for me, like I've got this, and I guess there's also why I'm not working for somebody else just coding.
Yep.
You know, I'm, I guess, a natural entrepreneur and I'm uncomfortable. Right? Unless I'm working on that new thing, unless I'm trying to move the needle on something special, on something better, I can't sit there and just, I can't be happy, to be honest. Yeah.
No, likewise, that's cool. No, I think that's big. So you're constantly going to conferences and speaking to different people and learning new things and changing things, right?
Yeah, yeah. So I guess the great thing about, like I've been to MozCon a few times, you know, mixed feelings about the speakers and stuff, but the networking is absolutely awesome, right?
Yeah.
And so hanging out with in-house SEOs or even guys who are running, they operate like agencies, but they're part of like entrepreneur demand generation businesses. Man, there's some exciting shit going on. And talking to them about what they're up to and seeing what they're doing, yeah, like that always inspires me and makes me come home and think, right, we've got to get on this.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a bit hard on my team because I just go, who wants this project?
Get back, it's like, all right, we've got to do all this, have fun.
No, I do know when to just let people get on with what they're working on. So.
Okay.
Yeah. So I have about 10 projects in my pipeline right now. 4 are actively moving ahead. So these are like things that we're going to work on over the next 6 to 9 months. 4 are actively moving ahead, going quite well. And I've got about another 6 that I'd really like to get into, but yeah.
It's awesome. And you've got to build that team up, right, to be able to do like so many projects. Like, as a lot of people see, like they're trying to do so much and it's like they can't do it because it's just them. It's like you've got to build up that team. Yeah,
and also you've got to be realistic, right? So, you know, we've been working on, we open sourced a whole bunch of stuff about like a WordPress theme framework.
Okay.
And man, this thing is flipping complicated, right? It's got like Sass and Grunt and all sorts of stuff in it to just automate various bits. And we released it, nobody's using it because it's bloody hard to use.
Yeah.
But realizing that, I just thought, well, there's more to this, right? We can actually use this to do something else. So we're working on a product to do that.
Okay.
I'd like to have the product launched in January, February. But look, if it's not done until June next year, that's all right. You know, we've got client money, we're making money, everybody's happy. Just keep moving. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting because I see some of the agency guys, a lot of them, they build up the team for the agency, then they leverage that team to create like SaaS products and different tools and stuff like that. Are you doing the same sort of thing?
Yeah, we are. Yeah, so like this WordPress product, we were looking at hiring some people in Vietnam to build these sites to this standard. And when we looked at the cost of hiring somebody with Sass and Grunt skills, you know, and like that higher level WordPress developer, it actually turned out that it was it was quite a lot of money, really. Like even offshore like that. So, programmer hat on, worked out the inputs and outputs, and we've automated a good deal of that, right? So we don't need to hire anybody now. And so we're thinking about leveraging that, turning that into a product. So effectively you give us your logo, your colors, you basically do it yourself, right? And then you pay a fee and you get a theme zip download.
Oh, cool. That's really cool. Okay, cool.
So we've been working on that for a while, and the front end is all done. There's some back end still needs to be done. If I can knock that out over Christmas, great. If I don't, all right. But people are sort of interested when we talk about that. Obviously, other people can come along and do something similar. But I think we've got quite a good angle in terms of design and dev.
Yep.
And if we can get in front of some of the clients who are spending $50 on junk on Theme Forest, yeah, I think we could probably make some money.
How are you generating leads for your agency?
Well, a few ways. So we've got a few web design companies who send us their SEO.
Okay.
And I guess one of them is quite a big. They call themselves a digital agency, but they don't do any SEO, but they're like digital branding stuff. They're awesome guys, and they build some bloody big, awesome websites.
You send leads to them as well?
Pretty much none of my clients need websites at their scale.
Gotcha. Okay.
But if they did, yeah.
Sure. Okay.
Actually, I'll tell a lie. There was a big non-profit in the city, not far from us, and they needed a straightforward WordPress website. They said, and I went in and I had this massive spec for all this complicated stuff, basically, and I just said, nah, we're not for you. I would hire these guys. And as I came out the meeting, they were there, I bumped into them, and so they got the gig.
That's cool.
But not because of my say so, but because they're the best guys in town to do it. So yeah, it's good.
I like that. I think some people don't know when it's too much for them and they try and take on everything.
Yeah.
And the term like scope creep comes up where they get given so much shit and they can't do it all. How do you know when you should take it on? It's like maybe it's an opportunity to grow the business. How do you know when it's like it's too much and you should just refer it to someone else?
I guess it's like a kid playing with matches, really. You've got to do it one time, get yourself burned. Like we've taken on e-commerce things for clients. We think, oh yeah, let's charge like 30 grand for this. Yep, brilliant. All right, let's do it. And then, 50 grand's worth of work later, you think, when the hell is this going to be finished? And at that point, you change, and you're lucky to survive something like that. You get a really demanding client. It's got a big, big figure project, and then they've got a proposal that's a bit like scope creep hell, really.
Yeah.
And you just got to kind of get yourself out of it. Basically, you just got to try and not to make those mistakes. Like I would encourage anybody to just make sure that your project is clear on what you are and aren't doing. And I guess that comes back to the order forms, right? When somebody orders a website from us, we always put on whether or not we're doing copywriting on the order form. We even add it as a line item, so you got website and then copywriting. And if they don't take the copywriting, we still leave it there, and it's not ticked, and it's all strike through.
Nice, yeah, so they know exactly what they're getting.
Yeah, so they sign it, and then later on they go, oh, I thought you were doing the copywriting. Oh, yeah.
Did you?
Yeah, well, we always put that in strike through, just because,
yeah,
because we do it. No, of course not. So it's like, that's good. It's to be really upfront with the clients and really.
And how else were you generating leads? You said you got referrals from other agencies.
Yep, they're the best.
Okay.
And so other sort of business coach type people, they're really good as well.
Okay.
So getting around town, accountants are good. Right, so dealing with people who are helping people start up businesses or trying to grow their business. So
sure.
I know they've got a few accountants. The CPA associations, Chartered Public Accountants, they're good. Also, our rankings are interesting. Yeah, we're trying. We're trying. Yeah, like I said, Penguin, and various other things. But we do rank for some stuff. We do get some of our own inbound. Leads. We use PPC a bit as well, not a huge amount.
Mostly though, relationships, going to the right people and building relationships, and they refer their clients to you.
Yeah.
I love that. That's cool.
Yeah, and in terms of outbound stuff, we tried your stuff.
Yep.
But seeing you speak the other day, I see a massive hole in what we were doing. Massive.
Okay.
And that's the fact that we get referrals, and I can usually like pick up the phone and speak to somebody and like if I get a referral, I can call them and then know who's calling.
It's very, very easy in terms compared to the cold outreach.
And Brisbane's a small city, right? It's not like London or whatever where who the hell are you? Like probably people who would not know who I am, they'd be able to look up and find somebody who sort of knows me.
Okay.
So I think what we're going to do is we're going to try exactly what you're doing, and we'd be using me as the outreach.
Okay.
So I'd be the one, and probably put some effort into linking them off to my LinkedIn or showing them who they know that we know.
Oh, that'd be really effective, yeah.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts for agency owners that are trying to scale up?
Yeah, sales training. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Even like the brutal kind of go out and talk to the kind of sales trainers who would have been teaching people how to sell yellow pages. I mean, you don't have to turn into a pit bull. You don't have to be that kind of, that painful kind of salesman to deal with. But, you can just be upfront with people and tell them, can't do a good job for that.
Yeah.
But we were talking in the cab on the way here about, you know, there's a couple of different analogies, but like I guess I've talked about like a cab ride. You know, you've been out, you had a few beers, you want to get home, 2 o'clock in the morning, you've only got, you know, say a £20 note in your pocket, right?
Yeah.
You know, a cab ride home is £40, right? What are you going to do? You're going to get a cab and hope that he takes you? No. Are you going to go and only go halfway? No. You're going to wait for the night bus? You know, you've got options, right, at that point. But if you can't afford to do it, you've got to think about the fact that you can't afford to do it. And that kind of idea, that I would really warn agencies, people really trying to upscale, be careful about the clients you take on. Because if you're the cab driver and you take somebody on who's only got enough money to go halfway home, they're going to start bitching and whining.
Yeah, absolutely.
As soon as you try and kick them out the cab halfway home, you're going to have a bloody fight in your hands. Yeah.
It's very true.
Yeah.
Appreciate you joining me, man. It's been awesome.
Yeah. Thanks,
Thank
Dale. Cheers.
Hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you next episode.